Welcome everybody, Max Shank here. This is my friend Anders. Together we have been running the M3 Academy for almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Almost.
Yeah.
Is it 2 years in April, actually? No, 2 years in June, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
So we're 22 months in.
22 months in.
We've done 22 different programs with 22 different topics.
Yeah.
And I think you know all too well that it has almost psychologically killed me several times to keep getting these programs out on time.
Yeah.
Partially because we are tackling such huge concepts, and the structure of it is so different than any programs that I have done in the past.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and it's all because it's more than a program. I mean, if it was just writing out exercise routines, great. We could just take things from Ultimate Athleticism and put them together and send them out. But it's just more than that. It's way more than that.
That's such a good point. I mean, with Ultimate Athleticism, even you have the workout creator.
Yeah.
You can just put them in an Excel spreadsheet and hit the randomizer. You're good to go. But this is, like you said, it's so much more than that. It is, first off, just really defining the topic and exploring how many different layers of human life that permeates into. Topics like momentum and frequency, and what are some of the other ones that you really resonated with recently?
Integrity was the
Integrity
big
was
one for me.
huge.
And I feel like that was where we took a big leap on the amount of content and like how much in depth we actually went with things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely grown into something very different than what I had originally intended when I had developed the program. You know, the concept of movement, muscle, and meditation is fantastic. Yes, I think that a lot of exercise programs don't really take into consideration the mental aspect of things, because ultimately your life is down to your beliefs and your behaviors. And if you completely ignore the belief half of that, you might just be slamming your head against a wall, trying to burn more calories or build more muscle without really seeing that full big picture. And I think you're right, the Integrity program, what was that, like just 20 pages of solid text or something like that?
Something like that.
And it's almost hard to describe, because integrity just by itself is a concept that has to do with your physicality, it has to do with your intention, with the way you approach your life, it has to do with the daily habits that you have, it has to do with what particular movements you can use to test whether or not you have integrity, and which body parts you can transmit force with integrity without losing that connection. So it's just been crazy. I mean, what would you say is the biggest thing you've learned throughout this process? I know for me, it's just a revisit of the idea that a task will grow to fill the space that you give it. And the fact that we are just riding this massive wave of momentum. There's a big group of us doing the programs together.
Yeah.
And people are counting on us to deliver them information that is going to help make life easier and more fun. Bottom line.
Definitely. I think on a personal level, in my own practice, the biggest takeaway has been the daily practices. Like having something that you do every day is just that solid rock in your life when everything else goes to shit. Like right now, people are quarantining and not knowing what to do with their lives. And just having that like daily practice, something that you do every day, whether it's your gratitude practice followed by some sort of movement, it's all keeping you sane and in place. And it's keeping you up to date. You're not just like playing video games until 4 a.m. and eating hot Cheetos and whatever. You actually have a life aside from working.
It is kind of like with your daily practice, especially if you do something at the same time of day, like a 5-minute flow in the morning, for example. I got a message from someone the other day that said they were 4 years in to a 5-minute flow every single day. And I think about how hard I worked on ultimate athleticism. But people only do ultimate athleticism for 12 weeks, maybe like 24 weeks or something like that before they transition to something else. The fact that someone is getting the beginning of their day with movement and water as opposed to not starting their day with movement and water is a damn miracle, especially to do it for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think of that sort of like morning routine, evening routine as a gyroscope for your life, kind of like what you were saying. It softens the impact of everything else that may happen, let's say, to you or for you, although language is really important, and we talk about that a lot in the program, of course. Your framing skills are critical for how you interpret your experience, because two people could receive the same sentence and it will affect them totally differently based on their framing skills. And so when you start to sort of like build out that daily practice and approach it with the intention of expression and exploration and peace and power, as opposed to, you know, having to like pay a toll so that hopefully someday you are like strong enough to like love yourself, or that other people will love you, or whatever, right? You know, everybody's trying to get love on some level.
Yeah.
And having the daily practice, especially having a daily practice that is a little bit flexible, and the fact that we are integrating these concepts that we're teaching with that daily practice, with those movements, is for me what really ties it together well, because I'm a huge proponent of layering concepts for maximum memory retention. You know, if you hear someone tell you something, that's going to have, like, let's say, some effect on your ability to remember it. If you hear someone tell you something while you read it at the same time, that's going to add a layer. If you repeat that back, it's going to have another layer. If you write it down with an actual pen and paper, that's going to add another layer. If that's something that you can weave into like a poem or a song, and that's going to add another layer to it, adding like the tempo, kind of like we're talking about this month with frequency. And then, of course, the ultimate is to, once you get all those layers, you teach it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because a memory shared serves everybody and not just yourself. So I think, yeah, wow, all that from the daily practice, right? But it has been a wild, wild ride for me, certainly. And we have so much momentum now.
Yeah.
I feel like so disconnected from a normal training plan now. Like, how would you describe the difference in the fewest words possible of what we're really doing?
Well, the difference is that it's a whole human. If you want to be the strongest, I wouldn't join the M3 Academy. If you want to be the most muscular, I wouldn't join it. If you wanted to be the absolute fastest, I won't join it. But if you want to be above average at all those things and feel great at the same time, both physically and mentally, then it's a good option.
That's a good way to put it. It kind of reminds me of two of my current favorite words, which are readiness and adaptability.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, there's so much to offer in this framework we have, like culturally, socially, technologically. I mean, you see like a million instruments back here. There are so many ways that you can provide nutrition for your mind and your body. And I think that is maybe one of the craziest things about being alive right now as a human being, because our bodies are animal bodies. We have animal cells. We have like almost all the same DNA as chimpanzees, a lot of the same DNA as pigs, a lot of the same DNA as fish, quite frankly. But we have this very key difference, which is beliefs, the mind. So we have this thing that is totally different than any other animal. We can reach way back and we can reach way forward. And not only that, with the tool of written language, we can have information travel through time, intergenerationally.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's insane that I can read a book written by Lao Tzu. I can read a book written by Isaac Newton.
Mm-hmm.
I can also watch Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in some movie, all in the same day.
Yeah.
And so, how do you integrate the fact that you have essentially like a monkey man body with this thing we call a mind? And that was definitely something that I had in my mind when I started this, was the reality that we are not given good tools to cultivate either of those.
Mm.
I mean, 12-year investment in school, what we get out of that is like pure garbage. Like, you're not getting a daily practice. You're not getting good movement skills or coordination or rhythm or good like memory tricks to help you remember and get like knowledge into the tool belt as opposed to the toolbox. We talk about that quite a bit. Like, if you have knowledge you can pull out of the tool belt right away, that's in the tool belt. If you have something that's like, I've heard before, that's back in the toolbox. It's not really useful here and now.
Mm.
And, you know, talking about mind skills, like framing your experience, deciding specifically what words you're going to use to describe your experience to yourself, how to approach something like journaling. You know, the reality is you have to be massively grateful for the foundation. That's for everything else. I mean, you have to approach this very optimistically, because it's so unlikely that we're here doing this. It's so unlikely that our conversation that you and I get to have here is being transmitted through ones and zeros wirelessly to anyone on the planet. You know, we have members in different countries who get to enjoy our synthesis of this highly valuable information to approach their daily practice and their day, and thus their life, in a way that is much more cohesive and integrated with the mind and body.
Yeah.
I guess that's what it is, really.
Yeah. Bridging that gap.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a lot of fun. We can talk about this all day.
Oh, without a question.
Maybe we should cut it here for today,
Yeah.
and then maybe we'll do this again.
Yeah, why not?
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. I can't think of a better offering than the M3 Academy. There's no discount. It's already ridiculously cheap, and we already work really hard at it. It's without question the best program you're going to find anywhere, and the community is fantastic. And you know, we're totally dedicated to integrating mind and body for minimum effort and maximum effect.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. Oh, you can't show that.
No, we're tough.